next highlight of tonight's meeting is the Highland Oaks Elementary School board presentation, the school spotlight for Highland Oaks. And I'll turn that over to Dr. Forsey.
All right, the Highland Oaks Hawks are here tonight. Principal Patty Matera will kick us off, but I'd like to remind everyone that Patty has had her hands full. They have the highest percentage of students choosing to return in person, and so she's had a lot to juggle the last few weeks and has done it masterfully as usual. So, Patty, take it away.
Good evening, Arcadia School Board and community. The Highland Oaks staff, students, and parents are excited to be here tonight to share what we have been focusing on this past year. Before the pandemic hit, we were working hard to build a strong community. We're working collaboratively, having choices, having a voice, giving many leadership opportunities, and modeling inclusion for all was a part of our everyday teaching and learning. I want to emphasize that this was not just for students, but for our adult community as well. As an administrator, I know it is just as important for adults to work collaboratively, have choices, have a voice, be given leadership opportunities, and model inclusion. If we can learn to do this as adults, imagine how modeling this for our students and families can enhance our school's climate. We know that if we have a strong community and all feel included, we will see growth. This past year has been tough. It took a little time to get used to distance learning, but once we got in the groove, we noticed how staff, students, and families came together to learn in a different way. We realized that for some students, virtual learning was not ideal, and they have struggled. However, our data does not, as a whole, show significant learning loss. It might be that some students did not accelerate or make the same progress as much as they would have had they been in person. But we realize that, and we will continue to work hard to fill any gaps that a student may have. As a staff, we wanted to be proactive as we prepared to someday be back to school in person. We formed 3 teams, which you will hear about during this presentation, that we felt were the most important. Teachers were able to choose which team they wanted to be part of as we began to plan what coming back in person might look like this school year and in the fall. Our focus tonight will be our work around building a positive school community with an emphasis on collaboration, equity, diversity, inclusion, and wellness. We are now 2 weeks into the reopening of school, and William Harrison, 5th grade teacher, will be sharing a few highlights at the end of our presentation of Highland Oaks welcoming students back on campus. Although we only have a handful of Highland Oaks staff, students, and families here presenting tonight, I want to emphasize that we wouldn't be able to do all the great things we do without the hard work of all Highland Oaks stakeholders. And now I'm going to pass it over to Janae Williams.
Hello, my name is Janae Williams, and I'm the ELD teacher at Highland Oaks. Tonight, I'm here to talk to you about the new staff action teams at Highland Oaks and share just a few of their ideas. The first team is the community building team. Our staff has been focused on community and collaboration for the last few years at Highland Oaks. We recognize that this was even more important during the time of distance learning. Our action team is coming up with some excellent ideas to help in this area. First, at Highland Oaks, we usually have morning announcements on Monday mornings when we're in person. The announcements are led by 2 students on a rotating basis each week. We all say the Pledge of Allegiance together as a school and sing a patriotic song. Mrs. Matera kept this going virtually during distance learning and with the help of our Hawk mascot, Oakley, added Oakley's Wellness Challenge. The students loved it and were encouraged to send in a Flipgrid video of themselves doing the challenge. The community team had some ideas for different ways to continue this now that we're back in person. Here's a little sample of Oakley's Wellness Challenge.
You're the one that I've been waiting for. Gotta quit this crying. Nobody's gonna heal me if I don't open the door. Kinda hard to believe. Gotta have faith in me. Freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out. Look at me. I get down, I get down, I get down, I get down.
The committee also created a March reading room for the school to celebrate Read Across America. Our teachers recorded themselves reading some of their favorite picture books, and we linked the videos in a virtual classroom for all of our students to enjoy. We are also planning some school-wide collaborative art projects for the spring and some activities for buddy classes to do when we return in August and are able to mix cohorts. One idea is a buddy class field day. The next action team we created is the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team. This is the team that I selected to work on. We were inspired by the speaker, J.D. Fuller, at our Professional Development Day, and we wanted to figure out some next steps to ensure that the Highland Oaks students and staff feel included and feel represented as a part of our community. We started by searching for resources that we could use with the staff and students to share them amongst each other. We watched an Excellent Leader in Me video that was very thought-provoking about some of the inequities in our world today. Then we created a staff survey to help drive our next steps on campus. One of the first areas we decided to focus on was to making sure all students feel represented by adding some new books to our classroom libraries and our school library. Some members of the team also attended a CTA Equity and Human Rights virtual conference. We are excited to do some of this important work on our school campus, and we're hoping to have a student-led club in this area when we return fully in August. The final action team is the wellness team. Our staff realized that this was an important need for both students and staff during the pandemic. The team thought it would be helpful to do a staff wellness and mental health check-in as we return to campus. We understand the importance of our staff members' need for positive mental health in order for them to be able to help and support our students. We recognize the need for community circles is even stronger during distance learning, and the team shared some ideas centered around wellness to add to our morning meetings. We are also working on creating a bank of wellness activities for teachers to use in their classrooms. We're lucky to have an amazing school counselor, Rebecca Martin, at Highland Oaks. She's helping to lead some of this important work around wellness, and I'm going to turn it over to her now to tell you more about our work in this area.
I am Mrs. Martin, the Highland Oaks School Counselor. And as a counselor, my main role is to be an advocate for all students through collaboration with teachers, parents, administration, and our community resources. But because our teachers are the front line, their wellness should be at the forefront in order to best meet our students' needs. Our Wellness Committee has taken on the challenge of putting together activities and opportunities for wellness for our staff as well as for our students. Our teachers are the lead actors, and they do an amazing job daily to reinforce the social emotional lessons I teach by building community through circles, online recess activities, and continuing the conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that is why I give them the Oscar for their stellar performance. Because this has been a difficult year, I didn't want to bombard them with more things to read, but would send out links to wellness webinars, silly cat videos, or funny animal pics to give them a moment to step back and maybe have a chuckle or two. Now, moving on to my everyday stars, the students. Never would I have imagined in April 2020 that the virtual school setting would be the best thing that could have happened to me as a counselor. I went from parents scanning my name tag to figure out who I was to now having parents say, I recognize that voice. It's Mrs. Martin. When we went virtual, I tried to continue building community through mailing out postcards, hosting virtual lunch bunch opportunities, doing a few home visits, putting together webinar opportunities for our parents with the most amazing and talented elementary school counselor team. And shameless plug, we have our last one tomorrow at 6 and would love for you to join us. And finally, since embarrassment isn't a word in my vocabulary, let's click on the storytime poster and see one of my bedtime stories. Oh, hey, Hawks. It's Mrs. Martin. I was getting ready to go to sleep, but you guys want a story first? Bedtime story? All right. Let's read Kiss Goodnight by Amy Hest. have the number 253 on my board because that's how many lessons I've taught so far this year. And this is why parents are recognizing my voice and reaching out to me directly for information or help. And not just the parents, but students have also been more active in seeking me out and showing that they are taking in the lessons. Let's click on the number to hear from Olivia, one of our students.
Miss Martin really knows how to entertain kids. And let me tell you, because I am one, children have about the attention span of 10 seconds. I'm serious. Well, for me at least. But every time she comes, I'm very engaged. She always has these big, colorful slides sometimes, maybe a game, and every student has their hand up trying to get in their answer because they just want to talk. When Miss Martin's there, I have stage fright, but usually with Miss Martin around, I can easily just tell everybody what I'm thinking, and I don't get scared. Miss Martin is really a great teacher.
My lessons always include the theme of Highland Oaks as a community of which each student is a member, and how kindness and inclusion should not be abstract ideas, but rather the driving force behind each decision they make. Very apropos, Board Member Eng, that your poem had to do with kindness. If only we decided whether to post, make a statement, or do an action based on whether it was kind or not, it would be a different world. Let's click on the kindness poster and hear from our student, Noah.
Hello everyone, my name is Noah, and what I like about Miss Martin's meetings is that we have a small quiz at the end. In one lesson that I really liked, which was friendship, I learned that when someone is feeling down or sad or lonely, you can go help them. And whenever I see someone who's lonely or is not having fun, I go over there and see what I can do. Well, I hope you like the video. Bye.
And we always make sure to include our littles, who not only are learning ways to control their emotions, but I've been told some have been heard teaching their younger siblings how to calm down by using their breathing techniques. Let's hear now from one of our kinder students.
Hi, Mrs. Martin. I remember you taught me about feelings. One of the ways is that you do candlestick hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of the ways is where you say stop, name your feelings, take a belly breath, and calm right down. And thank you for teaching me about strategies and how people can use strategies when they're mad, angry, sad. Thank you for teaching me about strategies that we can use to make people feel better.
I love my students. So thank you for your time. And now I'd like to introduce our resource specialist, Clarissa Sierra.
Hello, Arcadia, and good evening. My name is Clarissa Sierra, and I'm the resource specialist here at Highland Oaks. This has truly been the year of innovation, creativity, and thinking outside the box. At the beginning of this school year, I knew this year was going to be one for the record books, and a year like no other. My students have unique and complex learning styles, and I knew I had to reach my students from a variety of approaches, especially in a virtual world. My approach to meeting these individualized learning styles was through a combination of one, continuing and delivering lessons that align with state standards, but also I wanted to really focus on delivering lessons and tools created to strengthen executive functioning skills. So you might be asking yourself, what exactly are these executive functioning skills? Well, I won't go into a huge professional development here, but executive functioning skills are actually very simple. Executive functioning skills help us set goals, plan, and get things done. As adults, we do this all the time. Something as simple as getting dressed in the morning, getting up. We've got to use that task initiation, especially on Mondays, right? Planning, we've got to plan what to wear. Flexible thinking. Oh my goodness, my jeans have holes in it. I can't wear my jeans. And then time management. I can't spend too much time on this, right? Because I got to get to work. So as adults, we do this all the time. As students, they do too. So at school, students must be able to manage their emotions, focus attention, organize and plan their work and time, and reflect upon and revise their tactics as circumstances change. There are definitely patterns of strengths and weaknesses in these executive skills in all of us. As I'm talking, you all may be administering a quick self-assessment of your own executive function abilities. Don't worry, because many of the executive functioning strategies that I'm going to share can be used just as easily and seamlessly by adults. For example, the same strategies that work for keeping track of homework tasks by a child can be used by an adult who needs to manage bills and important papers. The next slide are different examples of the 3 executive functioning areas that I have planned for this presentation. I have included goals and examples of games, tools, and resources that my students and I have used both in distance learning and now back in person. All 3 examples that I'm going to share can be included virtually, in person, and also at home. The first section, we're looking at time management and planning. A goal that my students and I created together was that students are going to be able to plan ahead, set aside the time they need for projects and assignments, and make better use of that time. And these are just some examples of different tools that we focused on. Some including creating a master schedule, using an agenda, eliminating distractions, setting aside goals for each study session, studying in small increments, and the use of a visual schedule. The second part I looked at was working memory. This is also another word for your short-term memory. And our goal together was that students were going to be able to retain information for the purpose of following multi-step directions and completing a task. Some of these strategies included visualization skills, having students teach you, using active reading strategies, making instruction multi-sensory, and chunking instruction or information into smaller chunks. Don't you guys ever wonder why the social security number has hyphens? It's easier to remember. That's a great example of strategies for working memory. You can also include fun games such as memory or concentration, as well as card games such as Go Fish, Uno, War, and Crazy Eights. The last section there, self-monitoring. The students' goal was that they were going to be able to check oneself and monitor actions, behaviors, and thoughts as they happen, as well as how it plays into the ability to problem solve. When students self-monitor, they can ask themselves questions like, why am I reading this and what will I learn from it? Do I understand the way this information is presented? Can I connect this to anything I already know? Do I understand the ideas in words, or do I need to stop to look them up or ask for help? Other forms of self-monitoring include using self-assessments, journaling, peer conferences, and using think, pair, share activities. In closing, my goal as a special education teacher is always to focus on the whole child, but I knew this year this was especially important. I truly believe much of my students' success this year was largely due to the implementation of these executive function activities, tools, and resources, both virtually and now back in person. Moving ahead, I look forward and I'm excited to share more resources, not only for my students, but also teachers, administrators, and parents. Thank you so much for listening. It is my pleasure to introduce to you first grade teacher, Mrs. Scott.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marie Scott, and I teach first grade. At Highland Oaks, we work on community building daily, even with our youngest learners. Whether we have been in person, all virtual, or concurrent, we have daily morning meetings in order to provide a safe and caring environment that encourages students to open up and build trust in others. Next page, please. Here's an example of the daily community building themes that we have here in room 19. The students really seem to love the consistency and routine of these daily activities, and this variety has allowed students to learn about one another, build connections, develop new friendships, practice being part of a team, and show kindness, as well as learning how to take turns and to problem solve. This evening, I would like to show you a specific example of an activity that we have done on a Feelings Friday day. On Feelings Friday, each student tells me how they feel by using a color or colors that represent different emotions. Afterwards, students have the opportunity to give their because and explain why they are feeling that way if they would like to. Then I read them a story and look for books that allow us to discuss topics like equity, inclusion, and feelings. Next page, please. One week we focused on the story I Am Enough by Grace Byers. This story is about a young girl who makes positive declarations. It's an ode to loving who you are and teaches us that although we are all different, we must know our worth. We all have a purpose here. After having a meaningful discussion, I asked my students to write their own page to this story. I wanted them to think about their purpose here on earth and something that makes them special. Using a Google Draw document, the students wrote their own simile. And since it's first grade, you might see some that were sounded out. Next page, please. I made this into a slideshow for the class and presented it to them. I titled it, We Are Enough. I've condensed it here, and here are some of the pages that they wrote. What I absolutely loved about this assignment was seeing how my students view themselves as creators, as artists, as teachers, as beautiful, as protectors, as mathematicians, and so much more. You can see I get choked up with that part. As teachers, we have this amazing opportunity to create lessons that promote self-confidence and a positive self-image so that our students know just how special each and every one of them are. So thank you so much. And now I will be passing it along to the wonderful Mrs. DeLeon.
Good evening. And as mentioned, my name is Alexis DeLeon, and I am one of the SDC teachers at Highland Oaks. This year, I have the honor of teaching TK and kindergarten SDC, and my colleague, Julie Duran, teaches first, second grade SDC. As special education teachers at Highland Oaks and with Arcadia, we strive to not only teach and meet each of our students' individual needs based on their IEPs, but also work endlessly to create a program that meets each child's learning style and ability level. In addition, we simultaneously teach grade level state standards, as well as incorporating grade level curriculum, activities, and projects, which is done by us collaborating with our grade level general education teachers weekly. Just as all teachers across the country, we face the challenge this year of building community within our classroom through the lens of a camera due to the pandemic. While this is quite the feat in person with our population of students, Julie and I worked together to create ideas that would support community building within our classrooms virtually. A few of these ideas were using morning meeting binders that included pictures of classmates, calendar visuals, as well as emotion icons for daily self-checks. The classmate pictures were helpful in getting familiar with each classmate while following along with attendance protocols. We also prepared a question of the day and shared them prior to our morning meetings so students could be front-loaded and prepare a possible response. The question of the day promoted dialogue between peers that was based on their unique preferences and opinions. Throughout the entire year, we teach lessons about friendships and look at all parts of being a good friend, such as what kind behaviors are, characteristics of a good friend, and identifying good friend qualities within themselves. One activity that supported these lessons was writing a friendship card to a classmate. The students were provided with a sentence frame and a word bank of adjectives that we had been reviewing to best describe their friend and complete the sentence. One student wrote, "Dear Gavin, I think you are nice," from Myron. The students were equally excited in writing the card to their classmate as they were to receive their special card. By taking the time to incorporate these lessons and daily practices, returning to school for in-person instruction 2 weeks ago was seamless. The students in room 3 and 9 greeted their roomy peers with smiles and enthusiasm, and are still interacting with their Zoomy friends during class. When arriving at school, students are saying hello while using their classmates' names and smiling ear to ear. Their smiles are so big, we no doubtedly see them under their tiny face coverings. During class time, in between subjects, virtual students are engaged in casual conversations with the in-person students, talking about their weekend, new hair bands, and even favorite breakfast foods. In addition to building a strong classroom community, Mrs. Duran and I worked hard on building a community that included Highland Oaks as a whole and home. Typically, as special education teachers, we are in constant communication with our families as we are supporting our students at school as well as at home. We strive to work as a team throughout the entire school year, not just on the annual IEP meetings. But this year, we worked even closer with our families as they joined our class each day with their child. Our students participated in the Performing Arts program as well as the Creative World Art program alongside the entire student body. Julie and I were able to modify and adjust lessons accordingly to our students' ability levels so that they were accessible to them. Our students and families also participated in the weekly Oakley challenges that were created and provided by our principal, Patty Matera. Both Julie and I incorporated the Oakley Challenge into our morning meeting routines. It was so awesome to see not only the students participating, but their parents and siblings as well. Distance learning offered a unique opportunity for us to be part of their families just as much as their families were able to be part of our classrooms. A few more ways we built our school and home communities during distance learning was with holiday events such as our classroom drive-through trick-or-treat in October, our school drive-through Polar Express during Christmas, the Healthy Heart Challenge, which promoted healthy eating and exercise while raising money to help those in need, our March virtual reading room during Read Across America Week, and weekly read-alouds from our librarian, Chris Johnson. Despite how new and unique distance learning was for the majority of this school year, our students did not disappoint in persevering through any challenges or unfamiliar territory. As true hawks, our Highland Oaks SDC students rose to the challenge and flew well beyond our expectations. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to Debbie Champion, our academic performance coach.
Good evening, Arcadia Unified Community. My name is Debbie Champion, and I am the academic performance coach at Highland Oaks. The main focus of my position is supporting students with reading skills and strategies through small group instruction. I'm very fortunate to have two amazing part-time teachers working alongside me, Mrs. Sylvia Ellison and Mrs. Mona Jung. When our schools physically closed last spring, Mrs. Ellison and Mrs. Jung rose to the challenge of distance learning and spent their entire spring break securing the proper technology and learning the intricacies of teaching virtually, which was no easy feat. This was not expected of them, but they did it anyway in order to provide continued support to their students. Because of their dedication and in conjunction with extra funding from Arcadia Unified School District, the three of us were able to deliver uninterrupted reading support to our students for the remainder of last school year and even into the summer. This made a huge impact on our student learning. So therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Mrs. Ellison and Mrs. Jung for their unwavering dedication to our school community. At Highland Oaks, we recognize that distance learning has not been the ideal learning modality for many of our students, and in fact, presented challenges for all of us, from students to teachers to administrators to families and caregivers. However, as Mrs. Matera mentioned, we have observed and documented student growth and progress at every grade level despite these challenges. What do we attribute this to? A collective effort and partnership among families, caregivers, students, teachers, our principal, or in a word, community. So in that spirit of community, tonight I'd like to spotlight my fourth grade reading group. Because of the reduced school day this year, I needed to meet with them an hour before the school day even began. These students and their families agreed to this commitment. While most of their peers were still sleeping, these students were actively engaged in reading complex text. They attended every session, and many even logged in 15 to 20 minutes ahead of our scheduled start time. This next slide shows the bar graph of the progress these students made in 5 short months. I administered a literacy pre-test before starting our reading group, and then administered the exact same test at the end of our program. As you can see, each student made significant reading growth. They should be extremely proud of themselves. Their success is a result of their hard work and commitment, their family support and commitment, and the collaboration between their homework, teachers, and me, or again, community. With that being said, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to one of the fabulous 4th graders who participated in this before school reading group, Dylan. He agreed to join us live tonight and would like to share in his own voice his experiences from this school year. So thank you, and I will turn it over to Dylan.
Thank you, Ms. Champion. Good evening, board. It is a pleasure to be here to share my distance learning experience with you. My name is Dylan Casey, and I am a student in Mr. Homan's 4th grade class. I was also a student in Ms. Champion's Rewards program. Distance learning has been both positive and difficult at the same time. I missed my friends and being at school, despite the difficulties, and in adjusting to the schedule and logging into a computer daily, it has been a positive experience because of my teachers. In reading program with Miss Champion, she made reading and learning parts of words fun and easier for me to understand and succeed. My wonderful teacher, Mr. Homan, is flexible, kind, and understanding. He made learning fun through interactive and engaging projects. With everyone's help from Miss Matera to Mrs. Martin and my teachers, I was able to be successful and enjoy distance learning, but I am very happy to be back at school and in person. Now I am happy to introduce my fabulous 4th grade teacher, Mr. Homan. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Dylan. Good evening, Arcadia Unified School District community. My name is Billy Homan, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Highland Oaks. Highland Oaks, where kindness, leadership, and student voices soar. We are living our vision, and our voices are soaring as high as ever. Most of us are likely familiar with the Leader in Me program and the 7 habits. Well, an 8th habit was added, and it's powerful. Find your voice and inspire others to find theirs. Dr. Covey stated, when you engage in a work that taps your talent and fuels your passion, that rises out of a need in the world, therein lies your calling, your voice. Well, that's our year, meeting the needs of the world at large and the scholars in our community, presented with the need and opportunity to take care of each other. Our voices all throughout our community have soared beautifully this year. A pandemic, distance learning, an unparalleled learning curve, and so many unique challenges. Nothing could stifle our voices. This year looked and felt different, but the sounds of learning and teaching, voices of leadership and community building have been loud and clear. In her book, Becoming, Michelle Obama states that she never really found her passion until she slowed down. Well, we have slowed down. It's been a gift in so many ways. Through Zoom and Google Meets, in chat boxes, into microphones, and through headphones were the voices of our Highland Oaks Hawks. Teacher and student voices were able to be present far beyond the building at 10 Virginia Drive and filled homes throughout our community. An amazing homeschool connection in a way we've never known. Some voices are literally voices, and others share their voice through work, projects, art, music, and more. We maintained a wonderful music program this year, performing arts at all grade levels, and the instrumental music program in the upper grades. Each grade level was fortunate to have a visual arts program. Students expressed themselves in so many amazing ways at Highland Oaks. Classes, breakout rooms, small groups, and personalized learning were guided by passionate voices. Through Leader in Me implementation and community building, whether virtual or in person, The dynamics shift, but each voice is special as we forge ahead, learn together, and develop an amazing sense of classroom and school community. Morning meetings, school-wide morning announcements led by Mrs. Matera and Oakley, and thoughtful academic instruction. So many voices in so many beautiful ways. Sharing weekly schedules, weekly email updates to students and parents, conferences, supply pickups, email blasts, so many amazing Flipgrid videos. All of these were driven by voices of compassion, kindness, and grace. Our voices were shared. We all learned together this year. Students, teachers, parents, and administration. It's clear to the Highland Oaks community that kindness, leadership, and student voices have soared to new heights like never before. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chris Arzadi, the president of Designing Dads.
Chris Arzadi is our president of Designing Dads this year, and he put a little video together to share with the with tonight as our presentation. So you'll see a little bit of a history of our Designing Dads and you know, how they helped us this year during the pandemic.
This is my school. At 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, I spend about 35 hours a week here. Not counting sleep, that's like half of my life. My parents are always sharing memories of their time in school. Sometimes they share the same memory over and over again. It does make me wonder which memories I'll take with me when I graduate Highland Oaks someday, and how my experience at Highland Oaks will shape the person I become. Like a billion years ago, back in 1990-something, some dads formed a group called Designing Dads and set out to make our school even better. A lot of the landscaping, basketball courts, and playground equipment we have today is because of them. Now both moms and dads make up the Designing Dads team. And over the years, due to budget cuts, Designing Dads, recognizing the importance of arts education, has worked to maintain performing arts programs here at Highland Oaks.
As we know, the arts are just as important as academics. For years, our students at Highland Oaks have had the opportunity to sing, dance, and act and express themselves in a way that wouldn't be possible without the arts.
It's been an interesting year. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of stuff virtually, both for school and also for our programming. We'd like to thank our partners, Center Stage, who have been excellent at providing the programs to all of our children at Highland Oaks, from TK through 5th grade, and also for the 4th and 5th graders who have participated in show choir throughout the year.
The arts and arts education is a lot more than just singing and dancing and learning notes. It's learning empathy for others. It's learning to be able to express yourself. As they go on and grow and become adults, it's not just the memories of what song they sang or the math test that they took or the football game that they won. It's how was I able to work with others? How was I able to express my feelings in a way that I feel like I've been heard?
Being a kid is hard work. Academics are important, but the arts help me to put all the pieces together and imagine a better future for myself and our world. To all the adults, on behalf of all the kids at Highland Oaks, stay weird, and thanks for all that you do for us.
Highland Oaks Designing Dads is in the process of changing the name to Highland Oaks Designing Parents. So they're working on that, getting all the paperwork, the legal paperwork to do that. So now we're going to hand it over to our wonderful PTSA president this year, Mr. Tim Schneider.
Thanks, Patty. I just want to say that it's truly a pleasure to be the PTA president this year. It's an honor, and I certainly couldn't do it without my great executive board, and especially Sharon Liu, my executive vice president. I do want to thank all the teachers for all of their hard work, and I do want to thank Mrs. Matera for her leadership. Both of us know that if we want to get in touch with each other, we're just a phone call or a quick text away, and so it's been very good. So I really appreciate that. Even though things would be a lot different even knowing that things would be a lot different this year, we were still passionate and dedicated to the goal that our children continue to have the best experiences possible during the year. All of the PTSA board members share this dedication. Our objective was to continue to bring our community together. Throughout the year, we centered on the theme, "We are in this together." I'd like to play a little video that was done by one of the Highland Oaks alumni, Caitlin Liu. So thanks, Caitlin, for putting this together. And you can see the activities and events and things that PTA did to support the school during the year.
I often ask my mother, when will I go back to school? My mother always says, wait, not now. Always waiting to go back to school. You always come and go. You always say yes and no.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Go. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't be control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my...
Good evening. I'm William Harrison, a fifth grade teacher here at Highland Oaks. As you know, Highland Oaks is now in our third week of our new learning model. Having a first day in the middle of April was definitely unlike any of our past experiences. Many educators, myself included, found ourselves with a case of first day jitters that could rival our first day teaching ever. While there were certainly unknowns to face head on and plenty of opportunities to troubleshoot, students filled our classrooms, playgrounds, and hallways with the energy that we have all been missing since last March. Once again, our students, both those learning virtually and in person, proved just how resilient they are as they rose to the occasion and adapted to a whole new idea of school again. It was certainly an Arcadia first day that I won't soon forget. Tonight, we are going to conclude our presentation with some highlights of Highland Oaks' return to in-person learning.
Meeting all my friends and my teacher.
I like playing with my friends.
It feels amazing. I like to see my friends, and it's really fun.
Well, there are lots of signs around that tell us to wear our masks, which helps us a lot. And my teacher keeps telling us to always hand sanitize, and that keeps me really safe.
So they put different tables with the tape on half of the table so we can keep our bodies to ourselves.
There's like signs that tell you to not share your mask, and like other stuff that tell you to, not get too close to each other. So there might that way you know that you're safe from COVID.
Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you.
Wow. I'm speechless. There were so many different parts to it, but when Olivia started talking and then she said she had stage fright, it's like, what? I had been thinking I could just see her at the high school in a lead role in a performance. What poise she had. And stage fright. My goodness. An awesome presentation. I'll open it up for everybody to talk and ask any questions they have.
First, Dylan, thanks for staying up late. You did an amazing job. I loved hearing from the student perspective. It was so much fun to see all the student videos. It is just, I was trying to keep a tally during this presentation for how many times people said the words community, equity, and kindness. And it was overwhelming, the consistency and the focus on the community building and how that just permeates everything you do at every level. I really appreciate that. And I think that's why we're going to come out of this year at such a good place. And it's wonderful to see so many kids back on your campus, but feeling like that we belong. And the term, I think it was Zoomy friends. I'm like, I want Zoomy friends. That connection still between the kids who are home and the kids who are there, and the work that's being done to keep fostering that you guys are all in this together. And it's just really exciting to see. I do very much appreciate hearing about the 3 teams, and I was at that JD Fuller session and the beginning and the talking about equity, and it's such an important thing, and I love that you're looking to getting the kids involved in that as well. And it's just so much fun to see how all the stories are connected, things that you share. So just, I'm almost speechless. It's just really heartwarming to see the kids back on campus. It was very much appreciated seeing the designing parents and the PTSA, and like just all the ways that different aspects of the community came together to support. And again, thank you to all the absolutely specialized work that went into supporting students at so many different levels this year. Really, I commend you all, because it has been challenging and the creativity's just really been impressive. So thank you.
Hi, this is Chris Orzati, the president of Designing Dads for Highland Oaks, and I'm sorry my phone had died when I was getting ready to make a presentation, but I just wanted to recognize and thank Principal Matera and her leadership staff and all of the volunteers on our board who have helped recruit sponsors to come in and provide the funding to be able to provide a performing arts program for the kids. And this year was unique, right? I mean, it's an anomaly. It's an kind of a historic event in our lives. And and the school, the teachers, everybody worked really hard to be able to make the kids and the parents engaged and successful, and I really appreciate that. And so I'm sorry I missed my point on the presentation, but I really just wanted to convey my appreciation for everybody: school board members, superintendent, teachers, admin, maintenance, everybody from top to bottom that has really stepped up to be able to make sure our kids have a remarkable experience. And I just want to say thank you.
Wanted to just congratulate Mrs. Matera and her staff. I mean, your goal of building a strong community, kind of everything that Lee said, I had written on my notes is something that I wanted to touch upon. But that community, I mean, you can just see it across all stakeholders at Highland Oaks. And that's just incredible. And you can see it also with just how that support was there, how everything you're doing with the students, it's really amazing to see them, you know, just speaking about their experiences. And really, I mean, I love everything from the candlestick hands to what Kay was saying about the girl who said she wasn't, you know, comfortable speaking. I was shocked. I mean, she seemed like a natural to me. So everything you're doing at Highland Oaks it's obvious that you're succeeding, and congratulations for everything that you've done this year, especially in such a difficult climate. That support that you have amongst all of your staff, parents, teachers, everybody, it shines through. So thank you so much to all of you for supporting our students and continuing that excellence that we all know all of our schools have.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. Great presentation. I love the fact, once again, that it's about community building. Community is important. You took this pandemic and used it as an opportunity to really be creative and innovative with your approaches, and it's fantastic. It's great that you focused on the wellness, mental wellness, and it was really great to see and hear the students speaking. Just warms your heart. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll just add that I really enjoyed the Highland Oaks presentation. I thought the slides were super informative, especially with their like 3-column system that they had going on for most of their teachers. It presented a lot of information, and it was just so nice to see my old school and how they've progressed and also just innovated during the pandemic. And one thing I was really impressed by throughout the presentation was just like the eloquence of the students that either spoke like in the meeting or like in the videos. I was just listening to them like articulate their thoughts at like a crazy young age. Like there were 2nd graders and 1st graders speaking at like levels I could not even imagine speaking at that age. So I just feel like that says so much about the quality of education that they're receiving.
Like Connor, I went to Highland Oaks myself way back in that video, was like in the 80s, right, and 90s. But so it was great to see the old campus and the great things that are happening. Thank you, Mrs. Matera and your team. Great to see some old friends in the video. Everyone's already said just about everything. So I'll just add, I think it would be neat to see the team focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion, especially at this young age when they're everyone's so formative. It's a formative age, and talking about these issues is really important for them to understand and know why representation is important, and to feel like they are represented. It was great to see that book, I Am Enough. It was a great book. See that shared with the kids. But yeah, great job, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
I am just so inspired with this presentation tonight and your work. To me, as I was watching, it's just a testimony to what is possible when you say to an extraordinary group of professionals, do what you can with what you have in the middle of this historic crisis. And instead of just meeting a minimum expectation or requirement, you just absolutely soared individually and collectively to just provide this extraordinary experience for your students during this year of challenging pandemic and all of the negativity we hear. And it's not what you see when you're watching this presentation. You really just saw some students have this extraordinary year that they will never forget, and I believe is full of added learning. So thank you for everything that you all did. Truly inspiring. Thank you.
We'll let you off the hook now so that you can go off, and because your morning will come way too soon.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure.